There are no trolls living under Jefferson Street Bridge in downtown Nashville. Here, there's only love in action. People like my guest today, Sandy Griffin, come to serve the homeless. Sandy and I talk about how her own struggles brought her to shift into life with joy and purpose. I'm Tai Chi. At 19, I was a superstar, and I was lost inside. I left it all behind, switched continents, and started all over. Years later, I found myself lost again, this time in the American dream. This is a story about awakening, about living the life you were created for, about going inward and discovering the joyous and purposeful person you and I are both meant to be. This is Waking Up in America. Sandy, thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited.
Yes. Last year, Matthew and I were in Nashville and at the Film Com, and several people learning about our show came to us and said, you have to interview Sandy Griffin.
I pay them.
And they did say she's funny and she will blow you away. And then I followed you on Facebook, and I just ran into you at the Radiant Health Institute where you were giving your workshop. And that's how this works, doesn't it?
It is.
We're all connected, and we're all at the right place at the right time.
I agree with you. Yeah, it was thrilling to meet you.
And you are a certified life coach.
I am, and a motivational speaker and a writer.
Yes. What motivates you to literally take care of homeless, to not just as part of organization or remotely, but literally there, hand in hand?
I grew up in a family of 12 kids, and we grew up very poor. And my dad died when there were 9 kids at home. And my mom always said, so many people helped us, and she said, when you grow up and you have anything extra, give back. And so she's been dead for 30 years this month, but I can still hear her voice saying that. And so it was instilled in me at a young age, give back. And I went to Haiti after the earthquake. I went to Waveland, Mississippi after the floods. And then I started working with the homeless, and then I realized that I had so much love to give, and all they wanted was to be loved. I mean, they want so little, and they appreciate so big.
How is what you do here affecting the world? What do you think?
Well, you know what? I put stuff on Facebook, and for a while there I really wondered if it was self-serving. And then I realized that people all over the world are telling me that they're starting things because of what they see on Facebook. People that, a girl in St. Louis said that she used to walk across the street when she'd see a homeless, and now they had a homeless at their house for Thanksgiving, and they call his name is Mr. George, and she carries a bag of food around and walks toward the homeless when she sees them to make sure that they have it. So I get this from all the time, people that are saying, a girl in New Mexico said, I want to come and serve with you. I know I'm supposed to. So all these people that want to get to know how to love the homeless.
The world today seems to be filled with homeless people, displaced people, people in need. And there are many that want to help. And yet there are many that say, I don't even have resources. How do I help?
I think people don't realize that we need everything. We need people that have the resources. We need people that'll go to the front line and serve. Some people can only stand behind tables and give out food because they're afraid to go on the other side of the table. Personally, I like going on the front line. There's something for everyone. There's administrative work for stuff like this. We keep track of everything that comes in, everything that goes out. You have to realize what your gifts are. And when you realize what your gifts are, it's like that's what you're supposed to be bringing to the table as far as the homeless.
Yes, thank you so much for saying that. So tell me a little bit about your background that brought you to who you are and where you are today.
Well, you know what? I went to Waveland, Mississippi from Chicago. I was living in Chicago. And when the hurricane came, I went to Waveland, Mississippi. And they told me, we had a big closed tent with Willow Creek, and they said the first day that we were setting up, they said, go behind by the clothes or the shoes or behind some station. And they came up to me and said, we want you doing what you were doing. I said, I just came in. I was out there talking to people. And they said, yeah. I said, you want me to talk to people? Won't other people get jealous? They said, no, that's your gift. Other people don't want to do it. Well, I got there, and I had gone through an ugly divorce, but they all are. And all the voices in the head, that all the years of him telling me what I wasn't or what I was that I wasn't. And all of a sudden I got there and I realized standing there, this is who I am. I have a great sense of humor. I can love on these people. I can give to them. I can pray with them. And all of a sudden it all came together. I remember standing there with all these people thinking, I'm finding out who I am just like they are. I felt like I lost everything. They lost all their physical stuff. I lost myself, and right then I went, I'm home.
Yes.
This is who I am.
What you just brought up, that needs to be heard, that needs to be validated in that moment, because I think that that is the healing part.
It is. It is. And then, of course, then you meet the homeless, and when they say to me, well, you don't understand, it's like, oh my gosh, try me.
Yes.
I've been through a lot.
So talk about what you've been through and what you now bring into the ministry and when you speak and in your books and in your coaching.
Well, I grew up in a family of 12 kids. There were actually 14 and 17 years. 2 died. My parents died at 57 and 58 years old. My mom from mad cow disease. And because of that, I went through a real unhealthy divorce. I was a 30-year compulsive overeater and a 3-time cancer survivor.
So overeating disorder, tell me a little bit about that.
You know what? When I was 7 years old, we were told my dad had 2 years left to live. When I was 10, I had a paper out. It went down through 11 of us kids. And my sister was like 12 months older than me. And when my dad, we were told he was gonna die, we had to be real quiet in the house. We couldn't fight, we couldn't do anything like that. My mom would say, go and work things out of your system before you come back in the house. In other words, bury things.
Right.
So in turn, my sister and I would go and we'd take the money we made from the paper out and we'd stop at this Coburn's, this one grocery store in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and we'd eat all our profits to the point where we could hardly function anymore.
The overeating was the way to take care of.
You know, yeah, so what happens is that I want to feel like someone's taking care of me because my mom was taking care of my dad now and with his bad heart. And so I had to tell myself in a crazy way that I was being taken care of, that I was taking care of myself. So this overeating went on for 30 years.
And then out of that mess,
Yes.
you end up in the marriage. That what is it now doing to you and your self-esteem and your sense of who you are?
When somebody's putting on you what you aren't and you're buying it because supposedly they love you, and then all of a sudden I would find reasons to go to the grocery store that I had to get something because I needed a bag of candy. Oh, a candy bar wouldn't have made it.
Tell me a little bit more, like, what do you mean, like lies? Because I know a lot of viewers will recognize this if you bring up what kind of lie.
Some of the lies that are told is a lot of times we're told that we don't sound educated. Don't talk to someone that's in corporate because you won't sound educated and you'll sound really dumb, or you're lower class than the whores that walk the street, and people start believing that stuff.
Yes, really, people don't realize just how hard it is to get out of that and come into what we call your truth. Of who
Well,
you are.
when you're tired or when things aren't going in your life like you want them to, all of a sudden all the lies come back thinking, you know what, they're right. What made me think I was different? And then I go back to that place in Waveland, Mississippi with the tent there where 125 of us slept and nothing else around there, refrigerators in the trees, cars there, people that said they couldn't even find a piece of clothing that was theirs. And all of a sudden I went, oh my gosh, I found out who I am here. There weren't birds, there weren't insects, everything was gone. We had to wear gloves, we had to wear masks, because they didn't know what was there. And here standing there like that, loving on people, I found myself.
We're going to talk more about that moment when Sandy found herself when we come back.
This episode has been brought to you by Doing Good, a 501c3 nonprofit organization which tells the real stories by real people who are making a difference through volunteering. Find out more online at Doing Good TV or the website doinggood.tv.
Sandy, so you are at the moment where you say you found yourself right there with these people that lost everything. Tell me how it felt.
You know what? It feels free. It almost feels like you shed a skin. It's like when people say things to you and you used to believe them, you hesitate then and think, oh no, just wait. And you go back to the place that you found yourself and think, I remember what that's like. I'm free and I'm not going to own that anymore. And it's really funny how you get to the point where somebody emailed something to me yesterday. They text something to me and it was pretty cruel. And I thought, who are they talking about? And I read it and thought, that's not me. I'm sorry, but I'm not owning that, you know? So you get to the point when you really find yourself, when you're really who you're supposed to be, that you quit owning what other people say. It's when you're out in the world doing what's not you. You're wearing a coat that doesn't fit, but you make it fit. But it's not comfortable, that you own everything, because you lose yourself. You don't know who you are.
Right. It's interesting, this dynamic of, you lose yourself. You feel like you have nothing because you're not yourself. And yet that moment of awakening feels like you're even shedding that, what you have. That to me says total surrender.
It is. It's just so empowering, because before, when people said things and you believed them, now you're like, no, I know who I am.
Right.
I know.
And connect that with me, for me, with the spiritual.
Oh my gosh.
In your life.
Oh my gosh, the spiritual. You know what? I couldn't do anything without my spiritual life. I mean, it's like every single answer comes from above, everything. And a lot of it doesn't make sense at all. And that's why when a lot of people will ask me about, when I make decisions, how do you know when to take someone into your house, like a homeless person into your house? It's like, I don't do that. I'm told. God will tell me, you know what, this person. And I'm like, okay, I don't get it, but I'm doing it.
In the moment of awakening, we experience a surrender.
Oh.
Yes. And it connects us to who we are in this larger picture.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Yes. And some will, identify connection with God, connection with the divine force, with all life, all creation, with each other. And would you say that awakening then helps you to recognize that
you quit trying to control things, because I would write down what I was doing all day, and this time I'll do this and this and this, and then if it didn't happen, then you would get frustrated. Now it's like, you know what, that wasn't supposed to happen, and all of a sudden you have a peace that, you know what, for some unknown reason that stuff wasn't supposed to happen. So really anything that happens now is like, okay, that's what was supposed to happen at the time. That wasn't supposed to work out.
What helped you to get out of the grief, whatever you were going through after divorce, or to heal from your disorder, eating disorder? Because even, and my viewers will know what I'm talking about, because we've explored these awakening moments of many guests here on the show. It's one thing to awaken, and then you have to put something into action to actually get away out of your patterns, to actually be able to leave that coat, away and not put it on again.
I agree. I think the most important thing that I found out is taking my thoughts captive. Because when things came in, if you don't replace the tapes in your head, then you keep replaying the same thing. It's like if you're going down the road and a car pulls in front of you and you start yelling at them. I always say now, if somebody does, no matter what they do, oh, that poor person, we have to pray for them. Somebody in their family must be in the hospital. I say it every time. My girls say it now. So we've replaced the tapes. So now what happens is you feel like eating, and right away, I've got different tapes. It's never more than 3 lines. It's usually 1 or 2 that all of a sudden I'll put something in my head, and then the one with food is that nothing tastes as good as looking good feels. And so right away you put it in your head. So it's like when you're ready to grab for something, it's like, okay, that's been replaced.
Yes.
So you have to kind of replace it and take your thoughts captive.
Keep that awareness up.
You have to keep that awareness.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you don't keep the awareness up, if you're tired, if you're lonely, if you're any of those things, your awareness just goes out the door, and you want to give into it. And right away you have to become alert again, going, okay, I have to become aware that this is happening. Awareness is everything.
And yet you brought it up. When you're tired, when we're exhausted, when we're hungry, when we're going through everyday stress, I think we accepted this normal stress as normal, which is not normal. We don't take time to heal from ordinary grief, ordinary sadness.
Planning on wearing the mask the rest of their life, so their discomfort becomes their comfort level.
Yes.
And it's what they know, and they don't realize that once that comes off, they feel like they've lost 100 pounds, that it's almost like your heart just opens up and starts singing,
living, beating, flowing.
You can't wait to get up in the morning, and everything's
you become alive.
It's so exciting. And a lot of times you're not even aware that you're just living, you're not alive, because that's the norm.
Yes. When we come back, we'll talk about keeping that perfect picture, and we're going to talk about the power of the red nose.
This episode has been brought to you by Doing Good, a 501c3 nonprofit organization which tells the real stories by real people who are making a difference through volunteering. Find out more online at Doing Good TV or the website doinggood.tv.
I was attending a workshop by Radiant Health Institute, and you were doing a presentation of finding your story. And I loved, there were two parts that I just loved. And one was about, and I'm passionate about this, wearing that mask that makes us look perfect. It's our Facebook.
It's our Facebook face, I call it.
Yes.
We put on our Facebook face.
It's our Instagram filtered, beautiful life. And then we look at each other, there's absence of what we all have: pain, hurt, sadness, brokenness. Tell me about it.
I think what makes people authentic, though, is the brokenness. It's the pain. And I've gotten to the point where it's funny because you take someone's picture and they say, don't put it on Facebook. Let me look at it first. So people will say to me, they'll take pictures saying, do you want to look at the picture? It's like, no, that's what I look like, So it really doesn't bother me because that's what I look like. I had a homeless guy that lived with me, and she said when he died, and I saw it on Facebook, and you put a picture of you. I had my girls take pictures of me right after as I was grieving, and I put it on there, and I thought, how dare you do that? Then I realized you got to my soul because I've covered up my pain every time someone died, and it reached down and grabbed that out. And she said through every time when you came back from California, went in his room for the first time, and grieved through it, she said, I grieved for every single person. And she said, because you allowed me to grieve and feel things.
If we open up and we show our pain, we allow each other to connect on that level, we become real, we become heard. We feel heard and validated. We know we're not alone. We don't get into these lies, something's wrong with me because I feel this way, because look, I have this beautiful life.
Right. And another thing too is I think that we fall under busy and fine. Those two words, when you ask people how they are, it's always busy or fine. And you know what fine just means? I'm on rote and I'm saying it automatically. And busy to me has come to mean I'm running. I'm busy, I'm running. I don't take time, I don't find out who I am, I don't rest. I'm busy. And I had a meeting with someone once, and we sat down, and I said, so how are you? And he said, I know that you're busy, Sandy, but there's no one busier than me. And I thought, so I know you're running a lot of times, but there's no one that runs from life more than me.
Yes.
That's how I interpret it.
Yes.
Is I don't take the time. If you take the time to get everything done, why don't you take the time to rest in yourself and be comfortable?
Yes, it comes back to that self-care.
It does come back to self-care.
Yes, and what we perceive as self-care as opposed to what really it is.
Well, you know what people will say to me, I see like on Facebook, you're gone almost every night. What they don't realize is my days and nights are flip-flop for most people. I'm alone every morning. That's my alone time. That's my meditating time. That's the time I go for walks. That's all of that time. And so at night, when other people are coming home and they're resting, I've done that in the morning. That's always my time. But I have to have that, because if I get going about the middle of the afternoon, I feel just a check in my spirit saying, you're not connected to yourself. You're out there for everybody else, but not for yourself.
And my viewers will say, but Sandy, I have 5 children. I have their schools. I have homework. I have dishes. I have work. I have to work 2 jobs to pay my bills.
Okay, I was coaching someone, and she had three jobs. And the thing with her is she wanted her kids to have a nice home, but she's never home, never. And so I look at that going, you have to look at the payoff going, do I really want all that, my kids involved in everything? Do I want all that nice stuff? My mother, who had all those kids, I remember one time, we didn't have a dishwasher or anything, and her saying, come on out, we're doing wheelbarrow races where you held somebody's legs and they went on the ground, and you raced. And I said, but I have to do dishes. She said, they'll wait, they'll stay. And I remember thinking, how often do we say, oh no, that has to get done, we have this schedule,
Yes.
as opposed to stopping and saying, let's leave it. And so I think when you're saying, we have all this stuff. I have to work, I have to get my kids' homework, I have to take them to this. What you're saying to your kids is, this is what your life is going to be like.
Because that looks good on Facebook.
It does look good on Facebook.
And it looks just like my neighbors. That's what we compare, yeah.
Yes, and you're modeling that for your kids, saying when you get older, you're going to be so strapped for time that you're not going to have time for yourself. And that's when you need to stop and say, you know what, let's leave everything. I have homework. It'll get done later, and we need time. And you look them in the eye, and all of a sudden what you've told them is the stuff of the world is not any more important than you and I sitting here eye to eye.
Yes.
And I think that has to be, you have to be real aware and make a conscious effort.
Yes, back to the awareness and awakening.
It is.
Awaken to that. And finally, the thing that I just really opened my heart and reminded me of the importance of joy and fun and just, why not? The power of the red nose. Okay, so you had us put this on.
I see people from 15 years ago and they walk up to me and still go like this. That people still.
So we should have done the whole interview like this, except it makes me
no. There's a way to do it.
Oh, I'm doing it wrong.
if you put it up like that, you can breathe.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I can breathe. Oh, good.
There's an art to the red nose.
So tell me about these.
You know what? I don't even know where I started them. But I just know that I carry them in my car, and you see a lady yelling at her kids in the car, you get to a red light, you put it on, you look over, the lady starts laughing, the kids start laughing, and it's like 18 cents. I buy them 48 dozen at a time. And it's like you take this 18-cent nose, and all of a sudden things change.
Well, it makes someone else's day.
Yes.
It also takes you out of your comfort zone, makes you look a little silly and say, you know, I don't have to always be this.
Okay, so let's be serious.
Yes, let's be serious. Do you ever go serve homeless with the red nose on?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Do they like it?
Oh my gosh, all the time. Yeah, a lot of them have them. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Some of them sell the newspapers with them. Sure.
Oh. And you know the funny part, sad part, is that I don't even need this because every time I get really emotional, my nose gets really red.
Oh, so you have a natural one.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you so much for what you do, but more so for who you are.
Thank you.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from Nashville, the best show in town, underneath the Jefferson Street Bridge, we have the Trespassers, which is Seamus and Skylar.
From 4 until late, I was wringing my hands and crying. From 4 until late, I was wringing my hands and crying. I believe to my soul that your daddy's Gulfport bound. From Memphis to Norfolk is a 36-hour drive. From Memphis to Norfolk is a 36-hour drive. A man is like a prisoner and he's never satisfied. When I leave this town, I'm gonna bid you farewell. When I leave this town, I'm gonna be...
Are you making the shift in your life to live with joy and purpose? Visit us at wakingupinamerica.net, where we have a lot more stories of people like Sandy who will help you, to inspire you and activate you to make that shift in your own life. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.